Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant. Today we are at the next topic, that is the Endgame Studies explained. We are at the 59th position of our topic. Today we have got a case of rook versus two pawns and it is white to play and win. So let's get started with the calculation. We see that the pawns are well advanced, but there is one problem over here. There are two obvious candidate moves for white. One is f5 and the second is king f7, trying to promote the g pawn first. Since there is no king in front of the f pawn, white should consider the move f5 of course. But the first problem we see, after f5, ke2, f6, kf3, f7, kg4, the rule says after g6, king g5, once the base pawn is attacked by the king and the pawns are together or touching each other, the problem is whenever f8 comes, rook f8, king f8 and the behind pawn will be taken and the position is drawn. So we see that in this kg4 variation it looks very tricky, right? White is unable to win over there. And the other line which is again very interesting, like we go kf7, ke2, f5, kf3, we can try to attack the rook with the king. This king e7 move is possible in many ways, but most of the time black was just rook a8 and the gained tempo here on the rook doesn't help, because after the move g6 or even f6 it is very similar. We have kf4, f6, kg5 and now we see that the move g7 in fact loses. After g7 there is just king coming to g6 and once the king resides on f7 or the king can control the g8 and f7 squares, the black's position we can say is winning. So the only option here for white would be f7, when after kg6, f8, rook f8, king f8 and the game will be drawn. So the question is, what is white supposed to do? Because if you see the move g6 also, it also doesn't help. After ke2, f5, kf3, f6, kf4, f7, kg5, we reach the similar kind of position. But if we note the calculation what we did before, in that line we can see one option for white move which we had not seen for him. Let's go into the move f5 once again. f5, ke2, this is all as per our expectations. f6, kf3, f7, kg4 forced, and now comes the move king f6. The king supports the pawn and now we see the pawns are not yet touching each other. So the first problem what we see, after rook d6 check, king can just go to e7, attack the rook, tempo on the rook is lost and the rook is unable to control the f8 square. The game will be losing for black. It will be queen versus rook position. So black can go for the move king h5. When we see again there is g6, the king is trying to keep attack on the g pawn so that playing f8 becomes difficult. But now what we can see, white is just threatening g7 followed by f8. So black can go king h6 and now comes g7 and we see that there is no respite for black once again. After king h7, white has to be a bit careful. If he plays f8 queen, then rook f8 check, and here he has to do not gf8 queen but he can do gf8 equal to rook, forcing the king on h6 and then rook h8 checkmates. So thus we can say at this point the move rook d6 check was possible, and after rook d6 check again there is the move ke7 or ke5. Both are good when after king g6, f8 equal to queen, and we see that white will be able to convert the game. Queen wins against the rook of course. So the move king f6 played a major role in the analysis. I hope you are finding these lessons useful. Do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thanks for your time.